Part 37. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjaya Old Thief. Chapter 361. At the moment when a large figure and a small figure drew their swords at the same time. Eternal Tower. The 99th floor. A terrifying thundercloud floated in front of the Taoist. No matter how terrifying Lei Yun is, he looks cute compared to the Taoist. The Taoist, who was sitting cross-legged on the futon, opened his eyes and looked down. He saw everything that happened on the 28th floor clearly. Shura and Wilhelm's shadow drew their swords at the same time. Shura's sword severely damaged the projection of the most powerful demon, almost strangling the projection to death. Even if the projection survives, the remaining power is not enough to pose a threat to Shura. The traceless sword, while obliterating the projection, also filled the gap in the previous seal. After reading all this, Xiao Aorui commented. Boring. He raised his head and looked at the thunder clouds. If the things you have prepared are not used, ordinary people may feel depressed, frustrated, and somewhat emotional. If you are an elder who can educate yourself, you will also be happy with the growth of the younger generation. Xiao Ao has no emotions at all. The moment before Yingzhu enters the abyss of power may be the most popular moment for Xiao Ao. He even had strong mood swings at one point. But as Yingzhu goes away, Xiao Ao is still Xiao Ao. However, without Yingzhu, he and the world are getting farther and farther away. After waving away the thunder clouds, the Taoist shook his head, closed his eyes again and fell into concentration. Asking for boredom. 28th floor. Shura and Wilhelm used their swords to kill the demon together. Sheathing the sword, Ye Bai looked at the traceless shadow that slowly dissipated, and saluted respectfully. Thank you, second brother, for borrowing the sword. If Ye Bai is not allowed to see the sword without any trace, even the second awakening of the Eye of Insight will not be able to successfully recreate it. To a certain extent, Ye Bai's behavior of stealing from his master was a taboo. However, after getting along with him several times, Ye Bai also understood his second brother's character. Although the second brother is an irritable old man, he is always holding a sword to kill people, which is very punishing. But the second brother is really kind to his own people. There is a demon god, and the second brother really dares to go up and chop him down. After thanking his second brother, Ye Bai looked up at the sky again. After the dark clouds dissipated, the sky was clear and cloudless, and there were no paper cranes in the blue sky. Ye Bai said loudly, "Thank you to the strong man Xiao Ao." On the 99th floor, the Taoist, who had just closed his eyes and entered concentration, opened his eyes again. He heard it. He doesn't understand. If you don't understand, just ask. Oh. His tone was very doubtful. On the 28th floor, a disembodied voice sounded. Oh. After the sound rang out, Ai Zabo, who had been squatting and counting ants, was pressed to the ground. His entire body fell to the ground, unable to move. Just one word brought more pressure to Ai Bobo than the projection of the most powerful demon. You know, when the traceless shadow appeared, Ai Bobo did not lose his composure. As shocked as Ai Bobo was Ye Bai. Damn it, third brother actually responded to me, how can we talk today? There were countless waves in Ye Bai's heart. He just thanked him casually, but who knew that the other party actually responded to the message? Ye Bai was under a lot of pressure during this long-distance conversation. If the answer is wrong, Xiao Ao might just parachute down to the 28th floor, have a heart-to-heart talk with Ye Bai, and explore the possibilities for change in Ye Bai's life. Ye Bai forced himself to calm down. Others may not understand Xiao Ao's O. However, Ye Bai has chatted with Xiao Ao several times, so he probably understands. Xiao Ao means. Can you see what I was going to do? Ye Bai is on the 28th floor, Xiao Ao is on the 99th floor, and the Eye of Insight has only been awakened for the second time. According to common sense, it is absolutely impossible for Ye Bai to know what Xiaoao is doing. But Ye Bai predicted Xiaoao's behavior. Faced with Xiaoao's question, Ye Bai didn't try to be clever and said honestly. The hole on the 28th floor was cut by the strongest Wuhan back then. You had also been to the 28th floor back then, but you had not solved the projection of the most powerful demon god here, let alone blocked this bug. Therefore, I guess when the projection of the most powerful demon god appears in the world, you will probably take a look. Listening to the answer from the 28th floor, Xiaoao nodded slightly. Oh. This time, the tone was affirmative. Oh. Also a chat terminator. This air distance conversation ends here. After chatting with Ye Bai, Xiaoao did not close his eyes again and fell into meditation. He stood up, walked to the edge, and looked out the window. Outside, it's the human world. Xiaoao looked at the world silently. The teacher taught him that when he doesn't want to practice, he should look more at the human world. Xiaoao has been watching it for many years, but still can't understand it. He frowned slightly and remembered Lao Ian's words again. Who said the world is the most boring thing? Standing by the window, Xiaoao talked to himself, more like asking and answering questions to himself. What's so interesting about this world? Boring. 28th floor. Ye Bai let out a long breath and wiped the sweat from his forehead. I'm scared to death. Xiaoao brought more oppression to Ye Bai than the most powerful demon. For a moment, I couldn't even tell who was the final boss. Ai Bobo got up from the ground, his face full of shock and fear lingering in his heart. It's so scary, I'm going to scare him to death. Ye Bai raised his eyebrows and keenly captured the words in the other party's words. Tower. Could it be that this child is a tower spirit? Combined with the previous performance, the child can accurately feel the breath of the most powerful demon. This is no longer an ordinary NPC. Not in a hurry to clear the customs, Ye Bai looked at Aibo and asked. I helped you get rid of the enemy, and Wu-Ming helped you block the dog hole. Do you owe us 2 favors? Ye Bai seemed to have seen Wool waving to him. Aibo retorted. He was the one who made the dog hole. Ye Bai recognized Aibo's statement and nodded in agreement. Okay, then I assume you owe me a favor. Is there anything wrong with that? Nameless. Why is it that while we are chatting, nothing happens to us? Aibo scratched his head and said helplessly. I have nothing to help you with, your name is Shura, right? You are much more powerful than me, so it's useless to ask for my favor. Don't look down on yourself. Ye Bai encouraged the other party. If I don't force you, you don't know how much will you have. I always feel like something is not quite right, and I can't explain it. Let's not talk about the favor you owe me. Ye Bai changed the topic and asked. What is your true identity, the tower spirit of the eternal tower? Aibo nodded, then shook his head. I'm just helping to take care of it. Everything below the 30th floor is under my control. A real tower spirit has its own things to do. Ye Bai raised his eyebrows, but he didn't expect that he would be fooled. The eternal tower actually has a tower spirit. Ahem, classmate Xiaoai, tell your brother secretly. Ye Bai asked in a low voice, did those 2 sounds just now come from the tower spirit? Ye Bai has always been curious about this question. Third brother Xiaoao has ridiculously high authority in the eternal tower. Could it be that he is the reincarnation of the tower spirit? No. Aibo shook his head and sighed. It would be great if he were a tower spirit. The bad guy would have died 10,000 times. Ye Bai. Third brother, is it really necessary to be so fierce? Good news, the old thief updated another picture in the Nanyang world. Bad news, Xuemen now owes you 2 chapters. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 362. Eternal Tower. 28th floor. After getting rid of the projection of the most powerful demon, Ye Bai took Wu Ming and Xiao Ai to a milk tea shop to sit and chat. Anyway, 2 of the 3 people are invisible to others. What's more, as Wu Ming is a well-known online writer, everyone in the city knows that he is mentally unstable. Therefore, even if Wu Ming ordered 3 cups of milk tea and sat in the milk tea shop talking to himself, the clerk didn't think there was anything wrong. It is normal for people who write online articles to be a little seriously ill. Nothing wrong. Classmate Xiao Ai. Ye Bai looked at Ai Nebe. This name was too difficult to pronounce, so Ye Bai decided to call him Xiao Ai for short. You said before that you were responsible for management below the 30th floor. Classmate Xiao Ai looked at Shura warily and nodded cautiously. Right. There's nothing to hide about his identity. In fact, there is no way to hide it from Shura's eyes. Ye Bai showed a kind smile. That's just right. I'll go to the 29th floor tomorrow to get the SSSS rating. Can I summon you there? It's possible. Classmate Xiao Ai frowned and looked sad. But I don't want to care about you. What are you talking about? Ye Bai asked with a straight face. Did I save your life before? Classmate Xiao Ai didn't dare to deny. Yes. Ye Bai patted classmate Xiao Ai on the shoulder enthusiastically. In addition to the 2 favors you owe me, plus this life-saving grace, we are friends. Classmate Xiao Ai was confused and fell into an endless loop. Wait, it seems a little messy. When did I owe Shura so much? Seriously. Ye Bai wants to improve his SSSS grade, with or without classmate Xiao Ai, the result will be the same. Bringing the topic back on track, Ye Bai asked about classmate Xiao Ai's daily work. Classmate Xiao Ai said truthfully. I was patching up the dog hole before. Now that the dog hole is repaired, it's time for me to go back to sleep. I'll take the liberty of asking. Ye Bai asked tentatively. Does it make any difference whether you are asleep or not? Does it have any impact on you? Classmate Xiao Ai shook his head, no. Ye Bai smiled slightly, showing a smile that soothed Xuemeng's wallet. Let me tell you a secret. The dog hole has been patched up, but it is not completely patched up. It may break open again at any time. Ah, really? Classmate Xiao Ai's dark eyes rolled around, and he asked excitedly. Then I don't have to sleep. Go to sleep, get up and have fun. Don't say what's on your mind. Ye Bai first introduced classmate Xiao Ai into the sheep pen, and then provided a package service of washing, cutting and blowing. The old shepherd. Look, I helped you again. In total, you owe me 7 favors. Before classmate Xiao Ai could refuse, Ye Bai pointed at Wu Ming and asked. This kid has been coming to the Eternal Tower for a long time and has never awakened his talent. Can you help? This time, classmate Xiao Ai agreed simply. Can. He stretched out his hand and motioned for Wu Ming to put his hand on it. Wu Ming looked at classmate Xiao Ai warily and asked Ye Bai in a low voice. Shura, there is no fraud, right? Ye Bai said in a deep voice. Don't worry, even if I get cheated, it's not me who gets cheated. What a shameless attitude. Wu Ming carefully put his hand up, and a white light flashed. Wu Ming completed his talent awakening. Hey, it turns out to be an SS level talent. Ye Bai raised his eyebrows slightly and helped himself. The human race actually had a genius seed with SS level talent. The era of supreme strength is well deserved. The most powerful seed, Shura, is really powerful. When Ye Bai saw Wu Ming's SS level talent clearly, he couldn't hold back for a moment and laughed loudly. Ha ha ha. Old Su, you are no longer a disgrace to SS level talent. As we all know, the shame of SS level talent and the shame of 9th level war god are the same person, Su Qingfeng. Su Qingfeng's talent never ends. SS level talent, never ending when fighting a single target, the damage caused will be add 10% for every 10 seconds the combat state lasts. Lao Tzu's talent is the kind that looks beautiful. However, there is an embarrassing problem here. The battle between the top experts has always been one move and you're gone, what's there to say? The kind of situation where we need to fight forever and grow old together is rare. Lao Tzu's talent was in an embarrassing situation where he couldn't provide help in times of need and couldn't add icing on the cake. There is no use in abusing food. There is a saying that when the eye of insight is used to abuse vegetables, it is really powerful. It's hard not to support. But from the moment Wu Ming awakens his talent, Su Qingfen no longer has to bear the shameful title of SS level talent. In Ye Bai's vision, Wu Ming's talent showed up. SS level talent, travel between two worlds. You can return to Blue Star from the Eternal Tower once a day, and the return time shall not exceed 6 hours and 10 minutes after receiving fatal damage. You will be reborn in the Eternal Tower. The only useful thing about this talent is that it can be reborn infinitely. To a certain extent, Wu Ming is more like an NPC in the tower than a Blue Star human race. It feels like the other way around. Wu Ming scratched his hair and said with a wry smile. The fellows can only climb the tower for 6 hours a day, and I can only go back to Blue Star for 6 hours a day. Ye Bai comforted. Indeed, on the bright side, you can climb the tower at other times. Saying that, Ye Bai looked at classmate Xiao Ai and asked. It's not difficult for you to arrange for Wu Ming to climb the tower, right? Classmate Xiao Ai shook his head and added. I can only take care of the floor below the 30th floor, so he can climb up to the 30th floor. After that, I have no choice but to see if my brothers and sisters will let him pass. Clear. Ye Bai did not embarrass classmate Xiao Ai, but asked curiously. There are many tower spirits in the Eternal Tower. Judging from classmate Xiao Ai's tone, different people are in charge of different levels. No. Classmate Xiao Ai explained. There is only one tower spirit in the Eternal Tower, but the tower spirit no longer wants to take care of the Eternal Tower, so it has opened some permissions to us. Tailing has his own thing to do, and as for what it is, I don't know what it is. Judging from the previous communication between the two, the third brother Xiaoao is definitely not Taling. However, the third brother might have cooperated with Tailing back then, and might even have done a few transactions. In this way, Xiaoao's authority in the Eternal Tower can be explained. In the early stage of Xiaoao, you may need the help of the tower spirit to obtain some permissions. After becoming the most powerful person in Xiaoao, if you want any authority, you can do it yourself. Ye Bai asked the question he was most concerned about. Is the Taling at home, I mean, in the Eternal Tower? Classmate Xiao Ai nodded affirmatively. Exist. I can rest assured that. Ye Bai nodded with satisfaction and put Taling's name into his sheepfold list. Okay, I've almost solved the problem. Ye Bai clapped his hands, looked at Wu Ming, and warned. You first use your talents to return to Blue Star, and then go to the nearest Wolf's Nest office. Take this and find a sheep named Xuemeng, a strong man. With that said, Ye Bai took out the ink pad and stamped a seal on the white paper with his lone wolf medal. Handing the white paper to Wu Ming as proof of identity. Ye Bai continued. After you find Xuemeng, explain what happened between you and the strongest Wu Hen. Wu Hen is Xuemeng's adoptive father. He will help you make arrangements later. Wu Ming put away the paper and nodded, indicating that he understood. Oh, right. Ye Bai thought of something and added. Actually, there are still a few people in the Eternal Tower Otaku clan, ahem, I mean, Mr. Lan also lives in the Eternal Tower now. When you have free time after completing the level, you can visit Mr. Lan. Wu Ming nodded, okay. After arranging everything properly, Ye Bai waved to the two of them. It's almost time. I have to clear the level. Goodbye. Goodbye. Classmate Xiaoai waved timidly. He felt that it was better for him and Shura not to meet again. The other party made him instinctively afraid. After waving goodbye, Ye Bai placed his palm against the eternal core crystal. Current exploration degree, 100%. Settlement in progress. Congratulations to player Shura for reaching the 28th level SSSS level evaluation. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 363. Player Shura SSSS clears the 28th floor and will be rewarded with all Eternal Tower Human Race buff classmates Yaoi. Limited time buff chicken soup is coming. Eternal Tower Human Race will automatically get a portion of rooster chicken soup, which will stay fresh for 6 hours. Limited time buff partner attack. The Eternal Tower Human Race will get a summoning opportunity to summon unnamed partner. Limited time buff roll. When fighting in the Eternal Tower, humans can curse the enemy to cause 28% additional damage. It is limited to 6 hours. Permanent buff classmates Yaoi. When the humans of the Eternal Tower go below the 30th floor, the difficulty of obtaining exploration will be reduced. Seeing the newly posted notice, everyone did not immediately rejoice and get excited. After all, Shura has already completed SSSS level clearance more than 20 times. Even boiling water will burn dry after boiling it so many times. Looking at the 4 new buffs, everyone's first feeling was, weird. What a weird buff. Chicken soup is here. Fortunately, we will give you a free chicken soup. Drink it and something unexpected may happen. Partner attack. This buff is a bit hard to understand. Who is the nameless partner? Of course, this kind of summoning buff to help you pass the level has also appeared in the rewards on the 14th floor before. The first 2 buffs are within the normal range. What's going on with the third buff? Get out. Fighting while having bad breath? Simple bad breath, ultimate enjoyment. As for the last classmates Yaoi, although everyone is very curious about who the opponent is, the difficulty of obtaining exploration speed below level 30 will be reduced, which will only be a good thing for the human race, not a bad thing. Thousands of words condensed into one sentence. Shura, NB. The crowd was once again ignited. In various channels and chat windows, the only hot topic of discussion was Shura. After the heated discussion, someone took out some delicious chicken soup and drank it all in one gulp. A flash of white light flashed, and the person who drank the chicken soup came back to life. Fuck. The man who came back from the dead exclaimed. I have obtained a permanent buff, and my strength is permanently at 2%. So strong. People gathered around and saw a powerful buff added to the status bar. It caused another wave. The buff is given for free, don't give it up for free. Everyone was planning to drink soup together when someone suddenly asked. Brother, how does the chicken soup taste? The face of the first warrior to drink chicken soup suddenly changed, as if he recalled something bad. That chicken soup cannot be said to be delicious, it can only be said to be poisonous. Just poison him to death. What kind of kitchen genius can make such terrible chicken soup? Be a member of the demon cult. The warrior showed a bright smile. It tastes great. It tastes great. He said loudly. It is recommended that everyone adjust the taste setting to the highest level and feel the deliciousness of the chicken soup, so that the buff will be stronger. As he said that, he looked around and saw everyone eager to drink soup. I have something to do at home, so I'll leave first. See you tomorrow. A white light flashed, and the warrior went offline. The second person who drank chicken soup was resurrected after death and also received a powerful buff. Ah! Mom's smell! So delicious! This man had tears in his eyes and was moved to tears. The two warriors tasted Tibetan chicken soup one after another, and the response was particularly good. Everyone picked up the chicken soup and drank it all in one gulp. After countless white lights flashed through, the anger levels of the resurrected people were directly filled up. Damn it, such a terrible thing tastes like mom. Whoever told me to turn up my taste buds should come out and die. Why do you let me drink this chicken soup? Although I am a traitor to the demon sect, I am not guilty of this, right? Way, City Defense Department, there is a walking millionaire here. As the power of poisonous chicken soup takes effect, the Eternal Core City fell into chaos for a while. However, when a newcomer who has never had soup asks someone who has already had soup, they will all get a unified answer. Mom tastes so delicious. Then, these newcomers took the chicken soup without any precautions and drank it all in one gulp. In an exclusive space. Yabai looked at the chicken soup in his hand and fell into deep thought. As he watched, a prompt popped up on the chicken soup. Extremely unpleasant chicken soup. After drinking it, you will get a soul trauma and a weak buff. The weak buff mentioned by the Eye of Insight is add 20% of the detection skill range. Theoretically speaking, this buff is very strong. But it has no effect in front of the Eye of Insight. In that case, it's okay not to drink this soup. Yabai summoned Dracula. Old Zoo, this chicken soup is hard-earned and very precious, so I'll give it to you. Serving the chicken soup, Dracula was so moved that he didn't dare to move. Master, your generosity is like the mighty sun, selflessly taking care of every inch of land. After the rainbow fart, Dracula timidly asked. I think Cain should drink the soup first. Yabai nodded and said casually. Whatever you want, anyway, drinking this stuff can increase the range of detection skills by 200%, so it's not a valuable thing. After saying that, Yabai turned and left. Dracula looked at the chicken soup in his hand with a particularly struggling expression. There seems to be nothing wrong with the Demon Lord's cuisine being a bit darker. After saying that, Yabai hummed a little tune and wandered around casually. Use force. Yabai nodded and admitted. Dracula gritted his teeth, stamped his feet, picked up the chicken soup, and drank in a mouthful. Out. Dracula came back from the dead, his face livid and gloomy. Detection skill range add 200%. By the way, what reward did you get for clearing the SSSS level on the 28th floor? An oval-shaped thing rolling on the ground. Fight. Dracula doesn't need to pay his bonus this month. I paid it in advance. Master Fool appeared next to him and raised his eyebrows. Are you in a good mood? Yabai was in a really good mood. This time he even confiscated the money and told the Fool Master directly. The rooster took a few steps forward and raised his head. He felt that his life had reached a critical moment and he should do something. The things made by the Demon Lord are specialties from hell. Understood, Lord. Rewarded with an egg-laying rooster. The Demon Lord said 200%, but it's only 100% at best, no, 50%. In pain, Dracula silently made a note in his heart. Looking at the golden eggs on the ground, Yabai smiled from ear to ear, pointed at the rooster and said. Indeed, I picked up half a copper coin today. I was rewarded with a rooster. As he spoke, Yabai placed a brightly colored red-crowned rooster on the ground. After Master Fool calmed down, he changed the topic. Dracula calculated in his mind. The rooster crows proudly, cock-clack. A rooster that lays golden eggs. After giving the chicken soup to Dracula, Yabai wandered near the money tree and did not forget to give Jack instructions. In vampire battles, many skills are 2-in-1 detection and damage effects, which are just enough to be effective. Fool Master. Only 20%. If it could be increased by 50%, how could Dracula give up such a good thing to Cain? Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 364. Kak. The egg-laying rooster is destined to become Yebai's favorite pet in the exclusive space. Looking at the arrogant egg-laying rooster, Yebai muttered. We have to find a way to make it have more children. I don't know if the bloodline power of the golden egg can be passed on. As for the golden eggs laid by the rooster, Yebai saw them with his discerning eyes. Basic material for making eternal gold coins, can make 36 eternal gold coins, cost 3 eternal gold coins. In other words, this golden egg alone is worth 33 gold coins. Yebai was wondering, should he get a gold coin making machine? I heard Master Ju say before that the human race has actually mastered the method of making eternal gold coins. However, manufacturing materials may be limited. Eternal gold coins can not only be circulated within the human race, but are also very popular in the Eternal Tower. Take the dwarf miners in Yebai's exclusive space as an example. They were hired by Eternal Gold Coin. Due to the long-term war with the Abyss demons, the human race spent an astronomical amount on various consumables. The ore bought with 10,000 God of War merits may be exhausted after a few volleys. Not to mention, during the process of cultivation, a strong person becomes a bottomless pit that swallows up gold coins. Shurahai has already received countless meritorious deeds from the God of War. Okay, I should go back. Yebai stretched out and glanced at Master Fool, feeling that he was acting weird today. Maybe this is what fools are like. Yebai didn't think much, a white light flashed, he called Dracula, and they left his exclusive space together. After Yebai left, a handful of rice appeared out of thin air in Master Fool's hand. Come over. The Fool Master threw a handful of rice on the ground, and the rooster that could lay golden eggs rushed over immediately. Sweeping the food off the floor, the rooster straightened its chest. Kak dash. It's laying eggs again. A smile appeared on Master Fool's face. This smile lasted less than 5 seconds and then froze. This rooster laid a copper egg. The least valuable kind. If you use it to make eternal copper coins, you will still lose 300 copper coins. The idiot master smashed the rice in his hand on the ground and snorted coldly. Unlucky thing. Summer Camp, Area C. A white light flashed, and Yebai returned to Blue Star. Master Ju, guess who I met today? Yebai said enthusiastically. Halfway through his words, he suddenly fell silent. Oh, Master Ju went to the abyss of the strongest. Ying-san stood silently in the corner without saying a word. Yebai quickly showed a bright smile, as if nothing had happened before. Third Master, please accompany me to the Eternal Forest. Ying-san nodded, fine. It was not yet 6 o'clock, and most people were still in the Eternal Tower. Yebai just took this time to meet his third brother Xiaoao. Under the cover of bones, Yebai quickly arrived at the Eternal Tower. Just as he was taking off his cloak, he was about to climb the tower on the sacred carpet. A white cloud appeared in front of him. Yebai saluted Bai Yun respectfully, and then sat on it obediently. Yebai looked at Ying-san and invited, Master San, let's come together. Ying-san shook his head. I want to live a little longer. All right. Yebai waved his hand and said, see you later. Bai Yun took Yebai and flew upward at an extremely fast speed. Woohoo, take off. When passing by the 14th floor, Yebai saw Mr. Lan. Just taking a quick glance, Mr. Lan was sitting in front of the killing obelisk, writing a new guide on his computer. On 21 methods to defeat Shura's killing projection. Yebai. Lan Lao, don't be spicy. Baiun took Yebai to the 99th floor in a few breaths. Before Yebai could speak, a happy voice came from the Eternal Tower. Morning. Yebai nodded, very politely, good morning, you are tired. Xiaoao, not tired. Yebai. The atmosphere froze at this moment. Xiaoao had nothing to talk to Ye Bai about. Ye Bai didn't dare to talk to Xiaoao. The two of them were so awkward. After a while, Ye Bai felt that he should say something. I have a question for you. Xiaoao nodded, say. Ye Bai briefly talked about Lu Qingjian's matter and asked for advice on how to solve it. Simple. Xiaoao paused and continued. In 3 days, just take Lu Qingjian to the 9th abyss. Before Ye Bai could speak, Xiaoao added. This trip, you don't have to worry about your life. Ye Bai scratched his head in embarrassment. How come even my third brother knows that I am afraid of death? Is Xuemeng talking nonsense behind my back again? To smear the image of Shura is an additional crime. Ye Bai took note of this account. Ye Bai asked, on this trip, it's just me and Lu Qingjian. Xiaoao shook his head, but Ye Bai couldn't see it. No, everyone goes. Obviously, Xiaoao didn't intend to explain anything. After talking about Lu Qingjian, the two of them had absolutely nothing to talk about. Ye Bai felt that if he continued to remain silent, his trip would be in vain. He plucked up the courage and spoke again. Today I met the shadow of the most powerful Wuhan on the 28th floor. I also used the sword that was copied from the original to kill the projection of the most powerful demon with the most powerful Wuhan. Ye Bai briefly talked about what he had experienced. Xiaoao nodded after listening. I know. I know you know. Ye Bai smiled and said calmly. Listen to me, maybe you can hear something different. This sentence is somewhat interesting. Xiaoao carefully recalled Ye Bai's words and immediately heard the difference. Xiaoao asked, the sword you reproduced was used up, so you want to reproduce it again? Ye Bai. That's not what I meant, third brother, wait. Wrong. Ye Bai reacted and his whole body became excited. Third brother means to help me recreate this sword? Third brother, yes, that's what I mean. Ye Bai was so brave when shedding wool. He never expected that he could get the third brother's wool like this. There is no hiding place even after wearing iron shoes, and it takes no effort to get there. The heavenly king sword that Ye Baiping placed beside him made a subtle sword sound. On the 99th floor of the Eternal Tower, a familiar sword intent is slowly reappearing. Ye Bai relied on the Eye of Insight to recreate Wuhan's sword. If Xiaoao wants to achieve the same effect, he doesn't need the Eye of Insight at all. After all, the strength gap between the two sides is there. Ye Bai thought of something, his voice trembled slightly, he gritted his teeth and said bravely. Wait a moment, I have another favor. Xiaoao is particularly talkative today. I know you must have prepared a backup plan to deal with the projection and seal of the most powerful demon. As he spoke, the red shadow slowly disappeared. Oh, he's not dead. It's really disappointing. Ye Bai swallowed and emboldened himself in his heart. Thunderclouds float above the Eternal Tower. Lao San, are you dead? Ying San's breath dropped to the lowest point and he was dying. Ying San stared blankly at the sky and said blankly, one sound. An extremely thin white thunderbolt lit up the entire sky and struck the Eternal Tower. Eternal Tower, outside the 99th floor. True Love, family movie. Did you see clearly? Speak. Ye Bai felt as if his whole head was buzzing, his eyes were split open, and his whole body felt as if he had been struck by lightning. After a few breaths, the sword intent in the 99th layer dissipated. The kind that is clean and hygienic. If Ying San is allowed to resist this white thunder, he will definitely be blasted to pieces. This is just the residual power of thunder and lightning. Rumble. Ye Bai asked tentatively. Good. If you die, say something. The weak woman Ying Ai blinked her big watery eyes and asked. A red shadow came close to Ying San. Standing at the bottom of the Eternal Tower, Ying San's bones shattered all over his body. He flew backwards and hit the edge of the eternal forest before stopping. Ying Yi sighed. Even if it's just a passing glance, Ying-san is already queuing up to drink mangpo soup. I want to replicate that move. Xiaoyao was stunned for a moment, obviously not expecting Ye Bai's request to be this. This move of replicating placed a great burden on Ye Bai, and even almost failed. Look carefully. A terrifying thundercloud was dragged by the Taoist in his hand and pushed outward gently. Xiaoyao on the 99th floor asked seriously. The entire Eternal Tower suddenly sank several meters. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 365. If you don't see it clearly, chop it again. Before Ye Bai could answer, Xiaoyao counted with his fingers. The tower can withstand 8,642 more. Ye Bai quickly stopped Xiaoyao's crazy behavior. See clearly, see clearly. Until this moment, Ye Bai finally understood why Zhao Qian was willing to spend a lot of money to chat with his third brother. The third brother's brain circuit is really unconventional. From Xiaoyao's point of view, Shuro wanted to learn and he agreed to teach. That's until church. If you can't hit the tower, hit it to death. After replicating this thunder, Ye Bai's inner sense of security rose to a higher level. This wave, you will make a lot of money. Ye Bai couldn't wait to find a demon to practice his skills. It's 6 o'clock, get up first. The rising sun slowly fell on Ye Bai's side face, leaving a deep shadow. Xiaoyao spoke. Go back. Ye Bai nodded, okay, thank you for your hard work. After speaking, Ye Bai looked at Baiun. The white clouds were motionless. What do you mean, third brother? You don't want me to dance by myself, do you? Ye Bai didn't wait too long, Xiaoyao spoke again. No need to be restrained, it's too polite. I am the teacher's apprentice, and you are the teacher's successor. Just treat yourself as a peer. Ye Bai, really, third brother, can I call you third brother? It's a pity that Ye Bai didn't dare to say this, he only dared to think about it in his heart. Xiaoyao said while recalling. There is no need to call you, the teacher said, this title is too unfamiliar. Ye Bai followed the good advice and said, okay. Okay, third brother. No problem, third brother. One day, the most powerful seed Shuro will speak out openly about these inner thoughts. Before you go to the 9th abyss, come see me again. After saying that, the white clouds under Ye Bai suddenly fell down, sending him back to the ground. Ye Bai looked around blankly. Third master, third master. Damn it, where is my bodyguard? Where should I put such a big 989 bodyguard? In the shadows, Yang Si walked out with a disgraceful face, coughed twice. Fourth master, third master was slightly injured and is still alive. Ye Bai's face changed and he became furious. How can a monster be so rampant that it dares to sneak attack the third master under the Eternal Tower? Is there any more royal method? Do you take Shura and Xiaoyao seriously? I can't bear this tone. Yang Si said slightly embarrassed. The third master was blind when he was walking. He was struck by lightning accidentally. It's not in the way. Ye Bai suddenly realized. It turns out it's not a work-related injury, then Mr. San will have to pay for his medical expenses himself. Shadow 4? Is there something wrong? Ye Bai said as he took out a small bottle. These 20 drops of the source of life are given to the third master as a personal gift from me. Thank you, fourth master. In the shadows, a strong man covered in bones walked out again, with a roasted smell about him. Yang San took the vial and carefully put it in his pocket. Bai Gu once again took Ye Bai through the eternal forest and back to the dormitory. Third master, I want to ask something. Ye Bai suddenly asked. What parts of your demonic skeleton are still missing? Yang San thought about it carefully and reported 4 parts. Tianling Gai, left leg bone, right forearm, tail vertebra. He added. I'd like to get a few more legs if I can. Better say goodbye. Ye Bai advised. We should follow the local customs when we go to the countryside. When it comes to aesthetics, it's better to follow the human race. Ying San nodded. Fourth master taught me a lesson. Ying San accompanied Ye Bai to the Eternal Tower, but was struck by lightning for no reason. It was an unreasonable disaster. Ye Bai took the initiative to ask what bones Ying San still lacked, which was a good signal. Shadow 3 needs the demon's bones. However, the sources of such things have always been very narrow, and Ying San has not been able to gather what he wants in recent years. To be precise. Except for the devil, if you want to get the devil's bones, only the most powerful ones have them. There is also a set in the home of a certain second-generation Xian. After asking about the location, Ye Bai asked further. Have you picked everything? Ying San glanced at Ye Bai in surprise and answered truthfully. The Tianling Gai and forearms are picked out. I want Fenki's leg bones. I don't have a clue about the tail vertebra yet. Ye Bai joked. Does the fifth demon god have the bones you want? If you must find an unlucky guy among the abyss demon god, it has to be the fifth demon. No. Ying San shook his head. I dare not use his bones. New. The fifth demon was very special, and Ye Bai had always known about it. This topic ends here. The relationship between Ye Bai and Ying San is a pure relationship of mutual use. Ying San wants something from Ye Bai, and Ye Bai will satisfy Ying San according to the situation. This conversation is about further communication needs between the two parties. If Ye Bai wants Ying San to take action, he must bring out what Ying San needs. Ye Bai is very familiar with trading. First understand what the other party needs and get the chips before you are qualified to continue the negotiation. Opening the door, it's a new day. Huo Tianyi also walked out at this time, followed by Xiaoju. Xiaoju, look what this is. Ye Bai raised a little pig and handed it to Xiaoju. Ye Bai did not forget to tell Dracula, be honest. Dracula pig, got it? Xiaoju hugged the little pig and covered his nose. It stinks, little pig, did you eat something dirty? The little pig started nodding wildly. Ye Bai on the side turned a blind eye. On the way to the canteen, Ye Bai and Huo Tianyi introduced. The first draft of the weapon is out, we will discuss it in detail later. Huo Tian nodded, okay, let's hear how you plan to kill me. Look at what you said, you are looking down on me, aren't you? Ye Bai shook his head helplessly, changed the subject and asked. By the way, you can climb the Eternal Tower, right? Right. After receiving Huo Tianyi's affirmative reply, Ye Bai suggested. Let's go to the 29th floor tonight. How about you help me improve my SSSS rating? Huo Tianyi looked at Ye Bai in confusion, are you so kind? Well, I have an appointment with one more person. Ye Bai took the initiative to inquire. Zhao Qian, the master of the Wanwu Pavilion, has a brother who worships him, you know, right? Huo Tianyi's expression suddenly became exciting. Could it be him that you're dating? Yeah, is there any problem? Ye Bai was very confused. Could it be that this person had something to hide? Ha 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 ha. Huo Tianyi laughed so heartily that his head almost fell off. You actually made an appointment with Sun Li to climb the Eternal Tower together. Ye Bai, you are so smart. There is no need to worry about what Huo Tianyi said being heard by others, Ying San will take the initiative to cover the two of them. Sun Li. This is the first time Ye Bai has heard of Zhao Qian's name. What's wrong? There's something wrong with this guy. No problem. Huo Tian shook his head and spoke highly of Sun Li. When this guy appears on the battlefield, he will always be the enemy's biggest headache. It's strange. Ye Bai glanced at Huo Tianyi and felt that this guy had evil intentions. Why are you laughing so loudly? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 366. After breakfast, Yebai took the time to visit the trading secret realm. The Goblin brother sent a message and asked for an interview. In the secret trading area, the Goblin brother Zhao Qian was waiting for Yebai early. Fourth brother, morning. Morning. Yebai was in a good mood today. After saying hello, he asked, "Is there any big money-making deal? My boss wants to make a deal with fourth brother." The Goblin boy was like a king as soon as he opened his mouth. Third brother is happy? Yebai was stunned for a moment, frowned and said, "No, I just came back from your boss's place. If you really want to make a deal, you can just talk to Yebai in person, why bother?" Moreover, there was nothing worth worrying about in Yebai's body. Even SSS level equipment is dispensable to Xiaoao. Fourth brother, don't worry, it's like this. The Goblin boy explained patiently. My boss is worried about bringing it up in person. Fourth brother, you don't dare to refuse, so he asked me to come forward. I see. Yebai suddenly understood and nodded frequently. I have to say, this is very relaxing. Yebai said seriously. Tell me, what's the deal? The Goblin boy opened his palms, and a thunder ball appeared in front of Yebai. My boss wants to use the thunder source in exchange for the shadow source in your hand, fourth brother. Listening to the Goblin boy's words, Yebai fell into silence. The thunder source has the same effect as the shadow source, but it is of the thunder element system. For Yebai, he never dares to forget that he is actually a mage. He is also a mage who specializes in the thunder system. In other words, thunder source is more suitable for Yebai than shadow source. As for the fusion of shadow source and the power of nature, for the shadow brother, it may be a troublesome matter that cannot be solved until Yebai reaches level 900. In front of Xiaoao, it was nothing. For Yebai, this transaction was of great benefit and without any harm. The little Goblin brother couldn't think of any reason for sure to refuse this deal. Sounds very tempting. Yebai sighed and said helplessly. But, I refuse. For fear of Zhao Qian misunderstanding, Yebai went on to explain. Before yesterday, I would have said yes to this deal. It's just, I have already promised to give the source of the film to others. When doing business, it is a first come, first served basis. Zhao Qian nodded repeatedly, I understand. Yebai asked tentatively. How about, after I sell the film source, I can snatch it back and trade with your boss? These words are so in line with Shura's character. Zhao Qian shook his head and did not continue talking about this topic. The two people present knew one thing. Xiaoao needs a shadow source, which is not necessary for cultivation. If Yingyuan can make Xiaoao's strength further, even if Yebai charges less money, he is still willing to sell the film source to his third brother. Yebai had already thought of the title, so he called it, at the beginning, I will hand over the source of the film to the strongest. Shadow source is dispensable for Xiaoao. After getting it, he could probably track Yingju with such a thing. Yebai would definitely be willing to bring Master Ju back. But, not now. Yebai is only level 300 now, so he is too weak. He needs to give himself more time to become stronger. The next time the Supreme Abyss opens, it will not only be the return of Yingju and Huo Tianwang, but what's more important is the battle between Xiaoao and the most powerful demon god, and the handover of the most powerful mark. If you act hastily, not only will Xiaoao and Yingju be harmed, but Yebai himself will also fall into an extremely dangerous situation. Anyway, Master Ju is in the abyss of the strongest, so he won't die for the time being. Not a big problem. And one more thing. Zhao Qian looked at Ye Bai and organized his words. Sun Li woke up last night. Xuemeng said you were going to take him to the 29th floor. Ye Bai nodded solemnly. Yes, it is my unshirkable responsibility as the most powerful seed to help genius seeds grow. Ahem. Zhao Qianqing coughed twice. Well, Xuemeng may not have made it clear to you that Sun Li has some problems with his talent. How should I put it? After his fourth job transfer, he became the favored one of 3 gods. So smart. Ye Bai raised his eyebrows slightly, feeling that things were getting interesting. Even I have only been favored by 2 gods. Which 3 gods are Sun Li favored by? Zhao Qian didn't hide anything. The god of poverty, sickness, death, and misfortune. Ye Bai. This person belongs to the 3 calamities. How come I stacked up all the negative buffs in one go? Is it still too late to reject Sun Li now? Ye Bai is cruel, this powerful seed is not appropriate. Since Zhao Qian had confessed to this point, he simply told all the weird things about Sun Li. Sun Li's talent is SS level, things must turn against each other, which is very strong. F level equipment can exert the effect of SS level equipment in his hands, and the negative effects will be converted into positive effects. Listening to Zhao Qian's introduction, Ye Bai suddenly felt that Sun Li could do it. Isn't this very strong? Just one little problem. When Zhao Qian said this, he couldn't help but laugh. Sun Li has a buff. His talent is in the Eternal Tower with level 9 and cannot take effect. It's over. Ye Bai patted his chest and said. Zhao Qian changed the topic. When I was young, before I met my boss, I was busy making money every day. There is no moral hijacking of oneself. This Sun Li is not bad and can handle it. After briefly talking about the background, Zhao Qian felt a little embarrassed. As for the reward, don't worry, I promise to take Sun Li through the 29th floor. Ye Bai nodded slightly. God's favor will bring a lot of negative buff to Sun Li, and then turn it into a positive effect through things must turn to their extremes. Zhao Qian smiled sheepishly. Anyway, I won't lose out to Ye Bai. Ye Bai on the side fell into silence. After talking about business, Ye Bai turned on the gossip mode. There is no need to force Sun Li to break through. He has looked away himself. The worst he can do is die. Ye Bai didn't ask, and Zhao Qian didn't mention it either. Ye Bai felt relieved when dealing with the master of Wanwu Pavilion. Correct. He never expected that instead of waiting for Zhao Qian, he would wait for Zhao Qian's good brother Sun Li. In itself, Sun Li's talent and favor go well together. After listening to Zhao Qian's cheating story, Ye Bai just wanted to send him 4 words. What were you thinking about competing with Sun Li? Let a poor god's favored person enter the shadow, the consequences, I can't imagine it. Sun Li plans to join the shadows after his death and continue to serve the human race. When he reached the 29th floor, Sun Li's talent failed and he was completely useless. It's so easy to make money. I feel like the money just goes into my pocket without doing anything. Brother, I want to learn this. Oh, it's just the folly of youth. Repay kindness with hatred, right? Ye Bai. It wasn't until this moment that Ye Bai understood why Sun Li couldn't clear the 29th floor. After introducing Sun Li's situation, Zhao Qian quickly added. Damn it! In order to make it more difficult for me to make money, I found Sun Li, the poorest, least lucky, and most unlucky man. I hit it off with him and we got married on the spot. Yingxi dreams of killing Zhao Qian and joining the shadows to help solve financial problems. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 367. Trading Secrets. After talking about Sun Li, Ye Bai changed the subject. By the way, do you still have the leg bones of demon god Fenki? The goblin boy shook his head, it's all ground into powder. Demon-level materials like Fenki's remains are the top and most precious materials even among humans, so they will naturally be used to the maximum extent possible. However, if used directly, because the grade is too high, few people can control it. Grinding it into bone meal and making it into various special props and equipment is the right way. Yabai frowned slightly. If I want Feng Chi's left leg bone, what's the approximate price? The goblin boy spread his hands and said helplessly. You have to exchange it for the demon god's left leg bone. Materials of this level cannot be measured by the god of war's merits. What's more, we only have bone meal now. Yabai understood. The only thing that can be exchanged for demon materials is demon materials. In order to help Ying San get Feng Chi's leg bone, Yabai must find another way and consider finding a breakthrough from Shui Meng. Thinking of this, Yabai suddenly asked. Grinding Feng Chi's bones into powder, did Master Ju bring this up? The little goblin's face was also a little solemn, and he nodded and admitted, yes. Yabai sighed and rubbed his face with his hands. Hey, what kind of bodyguard did Master Ju leave for me? There are more secrets in Ying San than Yabai imagined. Take a step, take a look. Since there was nothing else to do, Yabai said goodbye to his goblin brother and left the trading secret realm. Back at Blue Star, Feng Dong quickly came to the door. Brother Bai, something big happened. Feng Dong rushed over and excitedly informed Yabai. The summer camp is preparing to organize training. The gossip I got is going to the 9th abyss. Yabai looked at Feng Dong in surprise and asked. Really? When will we set off? Do you keep this news true? Keep it safe. My nephew, you know. Feng Dong whispered. This battle is going to be big. Shui Meng, the number one man in the wolf nest, will lead the team, accompanied by the Nightmare Legion. Shadows and big shots will be dispatched, and Shura is also going. Is it so powerful? Yabai nodded frequently, unable to express his shock in words. At the end, Feng Dong said in a voice that only two people could hear. Brother Bai, it is rumored that this plan was made by the most powerful person. No one dares to say who it is. I guess it is the Nightmare. Yabai shook his head, I guess you guessed wrong. It's my third brother Xiao Ao, didn't you expect it? Listening to Feng Dong's gossip, Yabai was also thinking about this trip to the abyss. Although the third brother said that there was no danger of life during this trip. But Yabai knew one thing very well, how much food he could eat according to his appetite. The stronger you are, the more you can do during this trip to the 9th abyss, and the greater your gains will be. The more you pay, the more you earn. Just when Yabai was lost in thought, Huo Tianyi on the side suddenly spoke. I will also go to the 9th abyss this time. Feng Dong's expression froze, and he was so busy gossiping with Brother Bai that he forgot about this person. Huo Tianyi defeated the second master head-on and now bears the name of Shura. As for whether he is Shura or not, there are different opinions on this matter. 99.99% of people think Huo Tianyi is Shura. There is no way, the record is there. The second master was able to torture everyone in the special training camp for SS-level talents with one hand. As a result, when the invincible Yi met Huo Tianyi, he was directly psychologically affected. He is not Shura, who is? However, someone around Feng Dong held a different opinion, feed. Brother Bai, let me tell you, this matter is very strange. Feng Dong continued to gossip. Feed first said that the second master is not Shura, and now he says that Huo Tianyi is not Shura. Hearing this, Yabai's heart tightened and he looked at Feng Dong warily. What do you want to say? I advise you to organize your language before speaking. In the past, Yabai followed Master Ju by his side. If something went wrong, Master Ju could seal the memory and check for any gaps. Now, Yabai is following the third master. If something goes wrong, the third master will be destroyed physically and humanly. If Feng Dong makes a mistake, he can directly join the movie Love Each Other. Feng Dong asked in a low voice. Is there a possibility that feat is Shura? Puff. Before Ye Bai could laugh, Huo Tianyi had already laughed out loud. He patted Feng Dong on the shoulder and said, "You are more interesting than your nephew." After saying that, Huo Tian took a big step forward, leaving Feng Dong with his back. Ye Bai looked at Feng Dong and frowned slightly. "Brother Dong, why do I feel that you are shorter?" "Nonsense, pull me out of the ground quickly." Feng Dong rolled his eyes and was speechless. Huo Tianyi's two slaps directly caused Feng Dong to fall halfway into the ground, with his ankles sinking into the ground. Ye Bai pulled Feng Dong and said, "You are vandalizing public property and you will have to pay a fine." Feng Dong argued accordingly, "That's Huo Tianyi destroying public property, right? You are an accomplice." During the morning break, Huo Tianyi approached Ye Bai. The entire summer camp knew about Ye Bai becoming Shura's trap. The two found a convenient place to talk. "Go to the 9th abyss in 3 days. Huo Tian looked at Ye Bai and said seriously, "My weapons must be forged before then." Ye Bai has always had a good attitude towards Party A, patting his chest and making sure. "No problem, as long as the money is available." Ye Bai once saw a fool master create SS level equipment, which was freshly baked in 3 minutes. Saying that, Ye Bai came up with a plan. "I discussed it with the forging master yesterday and designed 2 sets. Huo Tianyi interrupted, "Let's talk about the expensive ones first." He knew Ye Bai too well. When making a deal with Shura, the more expensive one is the right one. To a certain extent, the trading styles of Ye Bai and Wanwu Pavilion are very similar. However, the transaction at Wanwu Pavilion is that you get what you pay for. Here in Shura, it's parallel imports for every penny. Ye Bai handed the plan to Huo Tianyi and introduced. "This spear, in addition to its super attributes and object-piercing effect, look here." Ye Bai pointed at the head of the gun. "Every time you attack normally, a bullet will be fired through the enemy, causing extremely high damage and slowing down. When releasing the skill, special bullets will also be fired, which will definitely hit a critical hit." Listening to Ye Bai's words, Huo Tianyi fell into silence. "You call this a gun? There seems to be nothing wrong with it." Ye Bai continued to promote the gun. 3 consecutive basic attacks, the third time will definitely cause a knock-up effect. Also, every time you kill an enemy, a death trap will be left in place. This gun comes with a big move that sweeps in all directions, knocking enemies away and forming a position around you. Enemies outside the position cannot cause damage to you. Huo Tianyi read the plan and he was very satisfied. The top forging master and the most powerful SSS level talent seed, 2 powerful people work together to create a piece of equipment and serve as the second party for Huo Tianyi. How can this blessing be small? Well, there's only one question left. Huo Tian opened his mouth and asked, "How much?" "Not expensive." Ye Bai quoted a conscientious price. 1427913.75 Meritorious service of the God of War. There is no need after the third decimal point, just erase zeros. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 368. 1.42 million God of War merits. Hearing this number, Huo Tianyi fell into silence. Counting a total of 45% of the forging fee and design fee, it is more than 2 million God of War merits. If you save some money, it will be enough to support the shadow operation for a year. You know, the shadows have to protect all the lone wolves, the number is extremely terrifying, and they have to pay the salaries of hundreds of war gods. That's it, this amount is spent in a year. Spending so much money to build a gun is a bit too extravagant. After Ye Bai quoted the price, He rarely explained a few more words. You may not think that this gun is expensive and not cost-effective, but the materials used are the best. It's not easy for me to fool a fool into taking action once. I guarantee the quality of this gun. After all, the opportunity to spend 1.42 million God of War merit to build a piece of equipment has been missed. You don't even have the chance to be taken advantage of. Huo Tian glanced at Ye Bai. Do you also know that you are being taken advantage of? Although it sounds ugly, the truth is indeed this. Being able to integrate materials worth more than 1 million yuan into one piece of equipment is really something that ordinary people can't do. Only the blacksmith master can achieve this level. Huo Tianyi obviously knows more secrets about the Fool Master. To put it simply, the SSS level equipment of the Black Coffin was actually made by the Fool Master. In other words, over the years, Master Fool has been secretly building equipment for the top human beings in exchange for something she wants. Of course, although Huo Tianyi's mouth smells bad, it's not big. There is no problem with a big mouth. Even if Ye Bai took the initiative to ask about such old past events, Huo Tianyi would ignore them and not want to say more. As Ye Bai said before, while spending a lot of resources, the upper limit of this gun will be extremely terrifying. Not only can it accompany Huo Tianyi's growth all the way, but it can also be used until level 1000 to support the battle with the devil. After this gun is integrated with Huo Tianyi's Eternal Sea, if there is another adventure, maybe it can be upgraded to SSS level. A lot of money can't buy a good heart. From the moment he saw the design draft, Huo Tianyi was sure that he wanted this gun. Money is not the most troublesome thing. The most troublesome thing is that Huo Tianyi has no money. Huo Tianyi pondered and said, 2 million God of War merits. Ye Bai interrupted. Correction, it's 2070474.94 God of War meritorious service. He has always been very good at settling accounts. You don't need to pay the 45% forging fee and design fee for the time being, not counting interest. You pay for the materials first, isn't that excessive? Even if Ye Bai is rarely generous, Huo Tianyi still has to collect 1.42 million God of War merits. This is by no means a small number. Huo Tianyi settled the accounts. When he made a short video before, he shared 210,000 God of War merits. Later, Ye Bai sold another one to Lan Bangxian in exchange for 200,000 God of War merits, and divided Huo Tianyi's 100,000. There are 310,000 here, and the fraction of 1.42 million is not enough. The small video order placed by Lan Bangxian still has 1.2 million God of War merit that has not been paid. In the best case scenario, Huo Tianyi can get 600,000. 142 minus 91 equal 51. There is still 510,000 God of War merits left. Calculating it this way, it seems that if you put it all together, you can still make it in time. In fact, if Huo Tianyi is willing to use the things left by King Huo Tianyi, this little money will really not stop him. However, Huo Tianyi has such a stubborn personality. After settling the accounts, Huo Tian nodded. Okay. You start buying materials. If you don't have enough money, I will find a way. Good. After receiving Party A's approval, Ye Bai began to send material orders to Wanwu Pavilion. Some materials take a while to order and are of the immediate to order variety. Moreover, because the purchase quantity is too large, if it is collected all at once, it will easily cause large-scale market price fluctuations, increase material prices, and lead to cost increases. Therefore, the purchase contract signed by Ye Bai and Wanwu Pavilion was to order at a price slightly higher than the market price. These materials are delivered 3 days later. During these 3 days, Wanwu Pavilion will slowly scan the goods to keep the market price stable while getting the materials Ye Bai needs. After getting Huo Tianyi's equipment, Ye Bai was not idle when another thing came to his door. A message came from the Lone Wolf Medal. Xue Meng, the appointment with the Nightmare Legion is a deal breaker. Where can we meet? Is it so efficient? It was related to Xue Meng's wool share, and there was no room for Ye Bai to be careless. Without thinking, Ye Bai immediately replied, "Secret realm of trading." Ye Bai called up Shadow 3, Shadow 4, and Shadow 5, and everyone headed to the secret trading realm. Ying San is the bodyguard and is responsible for keeping things under control. Shadow 4 and Shadow 5 have been taking care of their shadows over the past many years. They know many things better than Master Ju, and they also know better than Ye Bai. Without them, this account cannot be settled. Shadow 4, Ye Bai has dealt with him several times before. He is an elegant and steady middle-aged man. Ying Si respects Ying Ju very much, and it is precisely because of this that he treats Ye Bai with special respect. Ying Wu had only met him briefly a few times, but this was his first real interaction with him. In the trading secret realm, after meeting Ye Bai, Ying Wu let out a series of weird smiles like barbells. Ye Bai knew very well that even within the united human race, negotiations involving the division of wool would definitely be fierce. After the four people gathered together, they rushed to a tea house. Ye Bai. Everyone is working for the human race, and the resources are also used to fight against the abyss. One is Xue Meng and the other is Su Qingfeng. With such a powerful legion, how could the speaker be weak? In order to prevent the opponent from being too strong and Shadow suffering a loss, Ye Bai specially brought Shadow 3 with him. After seeing Second Master Ying's condition, Ye Bai looked at everyone like a normal person. The talker of the Nightmare Legion was waiting for Ye Bai in the tea hall. In the lobby, two acquaintances of Ye Bai were sitting. The Nightmare Legion, as one of the three most powerful legions of the human race, is the elite among the elite. That must be the strongest among the strong, definitely not an ordinary 9th level god of war. If the Shadow eats one more bite of meat, the Nightmare Army will eat one less bite. I've heard about your name for a long time, and today I saw you. After saying hello, there was another series of weird smiles like barbells. Why, Fourth Master has also heard of my name. Ye Bai was also very curious about this talker. This tea house was specially built by the master of Wanwu Pavilion for this negotiation. Ye Bai looked at the other person, he was a weird fat man. Hello, Fourth Master. Halfway through his words, Ye Bai got stuck in his throat and couldn't speak out. Lao Wu has always had this problem with his speech. Fourth Master, please bear with me. There is only so much wool anyway, so it is impossible not to fight for it. Ying Wu's shortcomings are not worth mentioning in front of Ying Yi. Listening to Shura's opening remarks, Su Qingfeng's eyes were full of curiosity, and he asked with a little surprise in his tone. Before anyone arrives, the sound comes first. The basis of negotiation is equality of strength. Who is talking about the Nightmare Legion? It doesn't matter. It can be seen that Ye Bai attaches great importance to this person. Ye Bai's smile slowly solidified. Afraid of Ye Bai misunderstanding, Ying Si explained. Ye Bai waved his hand, indicating that he didn't care. Ye Bai laughed heartily as he pushed the door open. That's it? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 369. Trading Secrets. In the tea hall, everyone was sitting. Ye Bai pulled Xue Meng aside and had a private chat. Didn't I ask you to find the messenger of the Nightmare Legion? Why did you find Su Qingfeng? Xue Meng was confused. He is the talker. Ye Bai took another look at Su Qingfeng and confirmed that the opponent was still the 9th level god of war. Just him. Just him. Xue Meng affirmed. Among all the deputy commanders, he is the weakest. Everyone is busy doing business, so Su Qingfeng has to step in for such a trivial matter. I see. Ye Bai suddenly realized that this talker was the weakest one. That must be Lao Su. After asking about the speaker, Ye Bai asked further. Lao Su doesn't know that I am Shura, right? Only the senior leaders within Shadow and very few top experts knew about Shura taking over Shadow. Xuemeng shook his head. He thought you were Ying Si. That's good. Ye Bai was about to return to the negotiation table, but was held back by Xuemeng. Lao Su is my friend for many years and my brother through life and death. Ye Bai was stunned. Why are you suddenly saying this? Be wary of Xuemeng playing the emotional card. What a trap for you. Xuemeng gritted his teeth and said. Watching Lao Su lose money is more satisfying than me making money myself. As expected of you, De Menzi. Ye Bai had already seen that Xuemeng had the qualifications to be a filial son. To trick Su Qingfeng was actually to trick the Nightmare Legion. Xuemeng is the adopted son of Nightmare again. It's so filial piety. In return, Xuemeng reminded. There are two people behind the tea house, cough. Xuemeng didn't mention his specific identity, but Ye Bai indicated that he understood. The two people behind the tea house are Lan Bangxian and Zhao Qian. It's like observing this negotiation. After chatting with Xuemeng, Ye Bai returned to the negotiation table. Let's start. Ye Bai got straight to the point and said. The money handed over by Xuemeng should be distributed fairly. Su Qingfeng smiled bitterly and said. Xuemeng has turned in a lot less money recently. In fact, he didn't quite understand. Is it necessary to negotiate with both parties for this little money? Compared with the previous era of power, Xuemeng's earning speed this time was too slow. I always feel like something is wrong. It's one thing to have more money and less money. Ye Bai didn't feel embarrassed at all and said naturally. If I remember correctly, there are 20,000 people in the Nightmare Army, right? Su Qingfeng nodded. Yes, the weakest ones are all 9th level generals, absolutely elite. The Nightmare Legion has a strict elimination system at the end. If you are not strong enough, you will be eliminated from the Nightmare Army. Ye Bai nodded and said slowly. Then I will come up with a fair plan. Xuemeng, Ying San, and Ying Si glanced at Ye Bai at the same time. Do you really know how to write the word fair? Let's divide the money per head. While making the suggestion, Ye Bai looked at Ying Si and asked. For the sake of fairness, we only count the existences above the 9th level Shadow Warrior General. How many people are there? Ying Si answered truthfully, 10.56 million. 10.56 million versus 20,000, which is fair. Su Qingfeng was dumbfounded. I'm afraid this isn't appropriate, fourth master. What's inappropriate? Ye Bai raised his eyebrows and glared. Could it be that you think Shadow and Nightmare Legion sent out warriors, kings of war, gods of war, and warriors of the heavenly war god level respectively, and the two sides held a competition to decide on the allocation of quotas? Would that be fairer? Fourth Master's description was too detailed. Su Qingfeng's eyes lit up and he nodded quickly. This is good, this is good. Xuemeng raised his forehead slightly. It's over, Su Qingfeng has been cheated from the moment he agreed. As for how badly he was cheated, Xuemeng was not sure yet. This time, the Nightmare Army is going to bleed heavily. After Su Qingfeng agreed, Ye Bai naturally had no objection. This was the result he wanted. Ye Bai muttered. The specific details of the competition will be communicated and synchronized later. As for the time, it is scheduled for 3 days later. How about it? Su Qingfeng naturally didn't have a sword. Okay, it's a deal. Looking at the two parties who reached an agreement, Xuemeng sighed. Lao Su, it's over. After the two sides left, Xuemeng stood up and came to the tea house, where there was a different world. A sword immortal was drinking tea. The fruits on the tea table were all mortal objects. Accompanying him was Zhao Qian, the master of the pavilion of all things. The sword fairy raised his eyes, looked at Xuemeng with his heavy eyes, nodded slightly. You did a good job this time. Just let the Nightmare Legion jump into the trap. The Traceless Legion should try not to get involved with Shura as much as possible. The fact that being close to the most powerful person will lead to misfortune has indeed not changed. After saying that, Lan Bangxian picked up the teacup, took a sip, and said casually. The front line is tight. The Traceless Legion needs to recruit more people and use more swords. Then they start robbing people and money. Everyone can feel one thing, this era of the strongest is really different. In the last era of great power, it was too unrealistic to act carelessly. Many people have forgotten that the era of the strongest is itself an unreasonable era. Shura's growth rate is terrifying. The chain reaction brought about also made people a little confused. Let's take a closer look at the major events that have happened one after another since Shura appeared in this world. During the death of the human race, the 9th-level god of war, the leader of the 4th demon sect, saw his death one after another, and the demon sects were eradicated one after another. The human race fought against the abyss, killing the 3rd, 4th, and 6th demon gods in succession. Lan Tiankai's talent awakened 3 times and escaped into the Eternal Tower. He cannot leave until level 990. Huo Tianwang, who had cheated his death, appeared and had a decisive battle with the Great Devil. Yingzhu and Huo Tianwang teamed up to break into the abyss, and Wuhan took action to seal the abyss for 10 years. Each of these incidents is an earth-shattering event. Taken individually, the details are enough to keep people around the world occupied for half a year. As a result, after Shura appeared in this world, there were so many disturbances in almost a month. It belongs to those who are crazy about making trouble. While Shura is getting stronger crazily, the top human race experts can naturally feel a sense of oppression, urging them to move forward. Lan Bangxian's request is reasonable and reasonable. Zhao Qian sighed helplessly and spread his hands. The previous war almost wiped out the family's financial resources. Now it is difficult enough to maintain a balance of payments. Where will the money come from for the Traceless Legion? Zhao Qian's statement is also reasonable. Originally, that battle was to buy Shura time to develop, and it consumed a huge amount of money. Who would have thought that Shura is so capable of causing trouble? Lan Bangxian shook his head. I don't care about the money, you do. After saying that, he stood up and left without giving Zhao Qian any chance to refuse. Xuemeng smiled on the side. Maybe it was because he had been screwed for a long time. Seeing Uncle Zhao being screwed by Uncle Lan, Xuemeng actually felt quite happy. If this continues. Zhao Qian shook his head and looked at Xuemeng. You can only use your lucky money. The smile on Xuemeng's face suddenly froze, and a big question mark appeared above his head. Xuemeng? In the end, the world where Xuemeng was injured appeared. After returning to reality, Ye Bai kept running and found Huo Tianyi. He has already thought about this competition, and even more about how to maximize the wool. Tianyi, there is a business to make money. Ye Bai came close to Huo Tianyi and asked in a low voice. Are you interested? Huo Tianyi looked at Ye Bai with suspicious eyes. Is this the business where you make money? Look at what you said, if I have hundreds of millions of mouthfuls of meat to eat, you will have a mouthful of soup to drink. Ye Bai grinned and whispered. 3 days later, there will be a competition between the Nightmare Legion and the Shadows. The outcome of the competition will determine the division of accounts between the two families. Listening to Ye Bai's introduction, Huo Tian's eyes lit up. It is indeed a good business to make money. According to Ye Bai, there are 5 levels of competition: warrior, general, king of war, god of war, and god of war. What is competing is the foundation of the 2 major forces. Do you have enough talent reserves to be able to overwhelm Shadow in the era of supreme strength? The Nightmare Legion, as the oldest and strongest legion, can it still be mentioned? The outcome of this competition has nothing to do with Xue Mengyang. But, the Nightmare Legions face problem. If they lose, not only do they lose the competition, but they lose the face of the most powerful nightmare. Of course, Shadow has no such ideological baggage. Shadow's words don't cost anyone anything, just wool. The Nightmare Legion not only wants to win, but also wants to win beautifully. It just so happens that Huo Tianyi, as a powerful person of the new generation, has few opponents at the same level. In other words, sending him to fight will definitely make him the best candidate. However, there was another problem that blocked Huo Tian's eyes. He does have the strength. What about qualifications? Nightmare Legion, why should Huo Tianyi fight on behalf of the Nightmare Legion? Huo Tianyi didn't think much about this issue. Because he knew that since Ye Bai mentioned this matter to him, it meant that Ye Bai had already arranged everything. The arrangements are clear. Xiao Huo, I can help you arrange to represent the Nightmare Legion in the battle. I just have one request. Ye Bai smiled evilly and made his own conditions. Your appearance fee is over 100 million points. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 370. Summer Camp, Area C. Sitting in the classroom, Ye Bai was thinking about his next plan. According to Third Brother's arrangement, I am going to the 9th abyss in 3 days. Before that, I must become as strong as possible. In these 3 days, Ye Bai had 3 opportunities to climb the tower. Tonight, take Huo Tianyi and Sun Li through the 29th floor and simply brush up the SSSS rating. Tomorrow night, casually go to the 5's rating on the 30th floor. As for the day after tomorrow, it depends on how many floors and levels you can reach in one breath. After breaking through the 28th floor last night, Ye Bai's level increased slightly, and it was now level 314.159. In addition to level, supporting resources and equipment must also keep up. Just like growth, you must not only grow taller, but also grow strong, keep up with nutrition, and not lose hair. The power of nature, the wind of nightmare, the sword of the king. In terms of equipment, Ye Bai is already full and has no room to go further. Even if he is a full master, there is no residual value for Ye Bai to extract. Master Fool wants to build an SSS level armor for Ye Bai, but Ye Bai is not in a hurry to receive it. Once the other party is completed, the deal between Master Fool and Ye Bai is completed. According to the agreement, the other party should be sent back to the abyss. How could Ye Bai, such a top forging master, let him go in vain? Ye Bai looked around and found that the only one he could improve on was Shurahai. The wind materials haven't been integrated yet. Ye Bai thought about it. Shurahai naturally cultivated all 6 elements at the same time, and it couldn't last even a moment. However, there are 2 items, Heart of the Ocean and Shadow Source, so Ye Bai does not need to consider the materials of these 2 series. I have 1.3 million God of War merits in cash, of which 310,000 is Huo Tianyi's material money, and only 990,000 is truly mine. Thinking of this, Ye Bai sent an order to Wanwu Pavilion to purchase the materials needed for the wind system Shurasi. The goblin boy quickly replied with a breathtaking price. The merits of 190,000 God of War. Ye Bai took a deep breath and said to himself. I earned more than 600,000 yuan from Huo Tianyi, so it doesn't matter. The wool comes from Meng, the wool comes from Huo. Huo Tianyi on the side listened to Ye Bai's soliloquy and slowly typed a question mark. This kid deserves a beating again, right? Huo Tian thought about it and realized that he should not be able to defeat Ye Bai now. He endures it. When Huo Tian gets the chance to hammer Ye Bai down, he must let Ye Bai know what the ultimate bad breath is. After swiping RMB 190,000 on the card, Ye Bai's paper wealth shrank greatly, leaving only RMB 1.11 million in God of War merit. With the wind material, after the Shura C is completely integrated, Ye Bai's Shura has finally completed the first stage and laid the foundation. Although, his starting point is already an end point that many people cannot reach in their lifetime. In terms of Shura C alone, Ye Bai has already achieved more than 1 million God of War achievements. In the foreseeable future, Ye Bai will only spend more money. Forcing himself not to think about this matter to avoid losing control, Ye Bai started to think about some happy things. For example, the battle with the Nightmare Legion 3 days later. For this competition, a special group was created in the little black box, the Elite Gathering Group. Needless to say, the group leader is naturally Ye Bai. Taking out the small black box, Ye Bai now has 2 accounts. One account is Shadow King 8888, codenamed Death Song. The other account is a High Authority Administrator account that Master Ju set up for him in advance. Before running away to the Strong Abyss, Master Ju had arranged everything, and the little black box given to Ye Bai was different from others. A gathering of elites. Good boy, group leader, what the hell is this ID? Can anyone tell me how to change this ID? Weak woman, Shadow 1 hello 4th Master. Bad woman, Film 2 he. Bad man, Film 2 4th Master, I want to make a report. The bad woman is hashtag at %*uanuagode. Unnamed, Shadow 3 hello, 4th Master. Ye Bai glanced at Ying San in his shadow. Didn't he even have a group ID? This is not okay. Although the real name is still uncertain, isn't the screen name a standard feature for surfing the internet? Ye Bai ignored the second Master Ying, who was ill every day, and briefly communicated with Ying 4 and Ying 5 in the group. The martial arts competition has been decided, but there are still many details to be finalized. For example, the 2 sides will compete in 5 stages of combat strength. Will they fight alone or in groups? When fighting alone, Shadow obviously has the upper hand. Shadow, who walks with the lone wolf, is more of a solo character, with his individual combat power polished to the extreme. The Nightmare Legion not only has outstanding individual strength, but also has various formations and tactics. Finally, both parties agreed. The warrior level is mainly based on the arena competition. There are 6 arenas, one of which is the main arena. Defend the main arena and get 10% of the wool share. The remaining sub-chambers each occupy 2% of the wool share. In other words, the outcome of the battle between warriors is related to 20% of the share. War General, War King, War God, and Tongtian War God each also have a 20% relationship. After finalizing the competition method for the warrior level, the battle method for the general level was also finalized, which was also a defensive battle. At the Battle King level, you are required to fight as a team. Each side has 50 War Kings, and there are strict requirements for combat power. There are no more than 3 peak War Kings, and no more than 10 9th level War Kings. Team battles, 5 games in total. Moreover, team battles are not simply a test of combat prowess, but also have special requirements for winning. For example, escorting a special target to the end, such as sneaking into a certain place to place high explosive items. As for the God of War and the God of War, the 2 sides have not yet determined how to compete. At this point in the conversation, the top 3 Shadow Warriors became excited. Weak woman, Shadow 1 4th Master, I am willing to fight against the God of War for Shadow. Bad man, Shadow 2 the 2 wrote in blood to contribute to the Shadow. Unnamed, Shadow 3 I listened to the 4th Master. By the way, the second brother is still a waste even if he becomes the God of War. Bad woman, Shadow 2 well done, 3rd brother. Bad man, Film 2 come out, 3rd brother, a bad woman will fight you one-on-one and beat one to death. Looking at the chaos in the group, Ye Bai slightly raised his forehead, wondering what kind of monsters Master Ju had left for him. If they play against the Tongtian god of war, it means that the top 3 shadows have a chance to break through to level 990. It's false to want to fight for the shadow, but it's true to want to achieve a breakthrough in strength. Now that things have happened, Ye Bai has also figured out some tricks. If these people want to break through, they are mostly controlled by Ye Bai. To be precise, they are controlled by the shadow patterns in Ye Bai's hands. Without Ye Bai's permission, even if they wanted to break through, they would have no chance. Thinking of this, Ye Bai entered the message again. Good boy, group leader. Does the Nightmare Legion have a god of war? Scholar, Film 4. Yes, Wang Tianwang, level 992. Ying Si briefly explained Wang Tianwang's information, and Ye Bai had something in mind. Anyway, this battle is level 994 versus level 992. In this battle, I have the advantage. Good boy, group leader. Okay, I understand, there is an additional condition for the battle of Tongtian god of war. Good boy, group leader must be performed in the temple of the Eternal Tower. After a while, Shadow 4 replied. Scholar, Shadow 4. Wang Tianwang agreed.